up, ladies and gents, boys and girls? It is a Wednesday night, which means it is Freaky Wednesday, Freaky Friday, whatever you want to call it, Weird Wednesday. It's Moon Night wrap up
Yes, it
night.
is.
And welcome once again to the KRP Broadcasting Studios for PS Comics I Love You and the bonus episode of
Mhm.
Moon Knight episode 2. Let's look. We got some graphics there. Check it out.
Nice.
I like what you can do with the emojis on Mac OS. Uh,
Finally, my guy.
yes, he is J.R. Kambakungan, also not J.R. Comics 42,
How y'all
and
doing?
we're gonna get into Moon Knight here in just a second. Of course, I am Voice of Reason 23, Kevin Pillow, and I am coming to you live from an undisclosed Shield location. I guess it could be Sword. I don't know, whatever it may be. But thanks everyone who watches. Of course, you can stream us every single Wednesday for sure at 8 o'clock on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. Watch unless we show a WWE video and then we get banned. But only on Facebook. And of course, if you're listening to us on the audio format, by the way, I don't want you to feel like I'm neglecting you. I just sometimes the audio doesn't save properly at the end of our broadcast, and I have to go a roundabout way to collect the audio and then put it into our system. But also too, by the way, for our Spotify fans, you can listen to our audio podcast if you're watching right now. You can listen to our audio podcast version on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, which actually allows us through Anchor.fm. Sorry, I couldn't see JR. I had to put some schmutz on my headphones. Through Spotify, you can actually answer a poll question and get involved in a Q&A on the Spotify app via our podcast, our audio podcast. That's kind of cool. And for the next couple of weeks, at least for the Moon Knight episode, it's going to be, what do you think of the episode? Give us a full down, and of course, we'll try to get the comments into our podcast the following week. Also, if you are watching on Twitch, Facebook, or YouTube, give us a little comment there on the down low. It comes right to our see, it'll look just like this. We get the string. We'll get the comments right here. So we'll put you on. We'll make you famous, just like the Undertaker. Which, by the way, congratulations to the Undertaker on the Hall of Fame, and we will talk about that coming up this Saturday.
Yes, we will.
We'll get a full wrap up on everything that's going on, bro. Doctor Strange trailer that came out today.
Yep, I specifically was not watching it. I did not want to watch it.
It is mind blowing. This is going to be an epic show, an epic movie. It is coming out May 6th. We'll talk about that a little bit. We'll talk about all the other kind of stuff. We'll catch up about WrestleMania. We'll catch up about the Hall of Fame. We'll catch up about everything. But before we get into Moon Knight, we are bringing a typical regular show feature into the bonus episode, and that is JR's soapbox. We're bringing it back.
It's been a minute.
JR.
Yeah, man.
We have a lot to talk about Moon Knight.
Yes, we do.
But you have to get this off your chest right here and right now, because we're going to talk about not a knight in black and white. We're going to talk about what you thought were some knights in purple and gold, my friend.
Oh man, them purple and gold aren't royal colors aren't royal colors anymore, man. Or at this point, and for those who've known and been fans of the show, or just know me, I've been a Laker fan forever. Quite literally, I was born the day. I was born the year that Magic got his 5th ring. So for those who know, right? And so ever since that day, I was touted to be a Laker fan, right? And I'm still a Laker fan today, and I will always be a Laker fan until the annals of history forgets my name, right? And so that's all to say is this: I'm a fan, but I know when to criticize them, because how much of a fan I am. And the people that are going to be blaming a lot of things this season for being Lakers, they played yesterday, or I think 2 days ago, to the Phoenix Suns. And that was a deciding factor in like whether or not they can get into this play-in tournament that is quite new for the NBA in the last 2 years, 2 seasons. They got beat by like 10 points, right? And this was a game with AD back and Russ still playing, but LeBron was out, and so from that they were just wiping contention. And people are saying, "Oh, it's horrendous. We should blame people. We should blame the coach, and we should fire the coach. It's definitely Frank Vogel's fault." Y'all motherfuckers think if it's just his fault specifically, is like is the dumbest thing, considering the fact that we got three fucking guys, two of which haven't been like have missed more of the season than they played this season, and it's those two. We're such a top heavy team where quite literally, if those three aren't good, aren't on their shit day in day out, we're gonna lose. We're that top heavy team because of the fact that we can't literally buy anyone else. Two of our players have more than a $30 million contracts per no $40 million contracts per year. Just two players. And Russ is getting paid more than LeBron, man. That being said, too, eh, to think that's to think it's just Frank Vogel's fault, and he does share some blame in this, man, is the most dumbest thing. That man has quite literally helped
Oh, yeah.
change the identity of Lakers the last 2 years, just from a defensive standpoint. Last year's Lakers, which was again with Montrezl Harrell, LeBron James, AD, KCP, Kyle Kuzma, Alex Caruso, right? This team without AD and LeBron were ranked number 1 in the league in defense for the full fucking season. And that hasn't been done since 1999, 2000 Lakers. I think it was 2001. It was the highest rated defense was only matched for the number 1 defense since 2000 for the Lakers. Just think about it, 20 fucking years. And last year's team was a team without AD and LeBron. Because one, AD was injured. AD and LeBron were injured for most of the season, and AD was injured game 4. Game 5? Game 4. Game 5 of the series against Phoenix. If he wasn't injured, I feel like we would have beat them. We most likely would have fucking beat them. And like they want to blame the guy who fucking had made quite literally the best defensive team in the last 2 years. First year when we won the championship with them, we were rated top 5 in the league before the lockdown, and when bubble came up, we rated number 1 because of that fucking guy. And they all sold out everybody sold out to defense. What happened? Why are we so terrible now? Well, what happens when you trade 3 of your best defensive players, just have one walk because you want to pay him, and well, Dennis Schroeder was just dumb because he was fucking wanting $75 million a year, which of course you're not give that fucking guy, but he's still one of the top best defensive guards in the league, and still is. That's what happens, and when we try to supplement that, we're getting old dudes, old fucking past their prime, thinking that they're still in their prime guys who get beat badly off the jump. It's like it baffles me. It baffles me. Carmelo Anthony, he's an awesome dude, great guy. He was a prolific scorer in his heyday. Can get beat by a broom. He could stand still, try to defend a broom, and all someone gotta do is throw the broom, and he get beat. It's quite literally it. He can't stay in front of him. Like, you get these guys who average the age of 33 to try to keep with guys who can go the fucking speed of light. Right? In Ja Morant, Steph Curry still to a certain point, all these young guys, they're gonna just fucking destroy them. And you gonna blame Frank for that? No, motherfuckers, you gonna blame your old ass crew, bro. And so just kind of wrap it up, man. This whole season was a shit show. I knew it was gonna be bad the second that we try to get the second we try to trade for a guy who's basically a worse LeBron and even worse 3-point percentage and Russ. But I understand why you got him. He's the most healthiest guy on the floor. I get it, but like it's insane. You guys know me. If you guys seen our season 1, I think when we won the first time, when we won in
You're
2000,
all stoked.
I was drunk as a mo, and I was happy as hell. But like it's like it happens. It is we got to fucking roll with now. Hopefully they right the ship in the off season and don't fucking listen to LeBron for all his dumbass little freaking low temper tantrums, man. Like he's like I'm done with it. I'm sick and tired of like people. I got people, chirping on me like saying like, "Oh man, why you hating LeBron? Why you hating LeBron?" Like, bro, the fucking guy's been a Laker for like what 3-4 years. He gave us the ring, yes. He gave us the ring, yes, in his second year, but that's a detriment to the whole fucking team now.
Yeah.
Like he's gonna leave in 2 years, and our team's gonna be fucking trash because possibly we're gonna trade Anthony Davis as well. For what? For a shot at LeBron trying to be the number one in the fucking in history of in NBA when it's all for him and not for Lakers, whom a team which I fucking rock till the day. No one person in the Lakers squad is bigger than Lakers. Not Magic Johnson,
Yeah.
not Kareem, not Kobe, whom I love to death, but Kobe's probably the fucking closest person to being, known more as an icon than the actual team, right? For to me, right now, LeBron is basically Wilt Chamberlain. He's great. But it's just one ring. It's just one ring. We have 17. So that was
he's just so frustrating. I don't get
the dude's all about himself.
Yeah,
I get it.
I just don't get him at all.
Yeah, the dude's all about himself, and I get it, man. He's only for like, he's only like, I'm for my home team when they're winning, but the second they're losing, like, oh man, fuck this home team. I'm out of here. I'll go to Miami, or I'll go back to Cleveland, or I'll do this, I'll do that. Like, bro, everything suits him because he wants older dudes. He wants older guys in his team. He's has historically been that way. He wants veteran people on his team. He doesn't want young guys. But here we are. We got old dudes getting fucking beat by young guys. Yeah. Good job. So,
well, leave us a comment about your theory. If you're a sports fan, leave us a comment about what you think about the Lakers and their problems. Real quick, moving forward before we get into Moon Knight, want to let you Comic-Con fans know out there. It looked like it was an epic weekend in Anaheim. I don't know why my chair all of a sudden is not working.
Same.
Sorry, I was trying to lean back. Epic weekend in Anaheim. Just Jared, want to just skip right to Flex Pool real quick?
I'll wait. No,
all right, we're gonna wait till Saturday. Come back to us on Saturday for a full Flex Pool and a full wrap up of JR and Candace's interesting excursion to Anaheim. There's a story that goes along with their Sunday travels to WonderCon. But it looked good. Good turnout. Everyone seemed to be great. A lot of cool panels that I'm sure we'll talk about.
Bro, that Sunday, it felt like a Friday.
Yeah, it looked nuts.
Dude,
which gives me hope for San Diego.
Yeah, dude, there was a lot of. I think just people just want to come back. I think that's the thing. Granted, just to touch it on a little bit, you had to come in. You had to show your vaccination card, right? And then you had to get vaccinated. I think they were stating like you can get vaccinated there. I don't recall how, but like when you go there, you have to show your vaccination card. You also have to, you have to have a wrist thing like usual, but it just shows that you're vaccinated.
Yeah.
And then I went to go get my Sunday pass type of thing. But overall, man, everyone's wearing a mask.
Now, real quick, if you're not vaccinated, do you have to show a proof of a negative test?
Yeah. Actually, I don't. You do have to show a proof negative test, I'm pretty sure. But I think what clears you more is the vaccination card. Type of thing.
But you can still get in without being vaccinated.
Actually, let me.
We'll clear that up because I know that the plan. I know that for San Diego Comic-Con Extra Edition back in November, that was the deal. You had to be either vaccinated, or you had to show proof every day of a negative COVID test.
I think that's what they might have been doing. I don't know fully, because there was a line possibly that I saw like, oh, you want to get vaccinated or like get your test on it. They might be doing that as well. But from what I experienced, all I do is show my card, show that I got my booster. It show my booster also showed that I did get my previous test.
Yeah,
and they okayed it. I walked in. People had their mask on, except for some people outside with their there's cosplay. Sundays are cosplay day, basically.
Yeah,
and so there's a lot of cosplays out there, no mask, and people take pictures. There's a lot of people out in the actual like show floor. I just gotta say, man,
it's melting in here.
My
kids turned off the fan.
Oh, bro, yeah, we got. Oh, dude,
It's
it's
hot
been
today, by the
hot.
way.
Oh,
If you are listening or watching us from somewhere other than the Coachella Valley, it reached into the triple digits today.
yep.
Another thing
It's
that
gonna
we'll
be like
talk
that.
about, it does tie a little bit into sports, but local pop culture. Big announcement today. Finally, the CV Firebirds announcing their tickets going on sale. Their season ticket passes for the the big hockey team getting added to the
Okay.
Coachella Valley here
Yeah,
in
yeah.
2022 and into 23. So we'll get into that,
Yeah.
but let's get into it, JR. Why we are here on a Wednesday night. It
Mhm.
is Moon Knight episode 2.
Yep.
And again, I have to preface this. It is a different kind of show.
Yeah.
I will say this every single week about this show and about the Disney Plus shows, and that every single show has had a different feel.
Yep.
We go back to WandaVision. It was a trip. It was a unique kind of I don't even know how to describe WandaVision to someone because it's not a science fiction thriller. It was just different. It was an amalgamation of different types of storytelling tropes.
Yeah.
Falcon and Winter Soldier was a straight up buddy cop,
Yeah.
kind of a political thriller. It was really the closest thing was it was a sequel to Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Is the best way to describe it. Loki was, pardon my French, a mind fuck. It introduced us to the multiverse, but it told a unique storytelling with essentially modern time travel. It is
Yeah.
that unique. It wasn't time travel, but it's growing up as kids when we tried to watch Back to the Future, when we tried to watch any kind of time travel movies, it was always like, oh, wait, huh, what?
Yeah.
That's what Loki was. It's like modern time travel. What If was just unique with the animation style and being able to deal with the multiverses.
Yeah.
Hawkeye again,
It was.
more so I would say more of a buddy cop holiday
Yeah,
special.
it was more holiday special than anything else. But
And
overall, it did tell an engrossing story, which is good to have
yeah.
introduced.
And then we have Moon Knight, and
Yeah.
this is definitely a science fiction thriller. This is a unique, again, what made Marvel in the 1960s and the 1970s so different than any other form of comic books was the truly individual uniqueness of characters. It wasn't just like, not just, I'm not going to diss on Batman, but it's not just, Batman. Oh, his parents got shot. Oh, boo hoo, blah, blah, blah. He's a rich guy
Oh,
who puts on a cape. I'm not. I love Batman. I love the totality of Bruce Wayne and the Dark Knight's story. I look past everyone who goes, oh, Superman. He's so kind of like kind of boring, but it's like there's more to it. The X-Men, Spider-Man, the Fantastic Four, Moon Knight, all the stuff from the 1960s and 1970s is so different. Like you had the X-Men, they're dealing with essentially racial issues. Spider-Man, here's a 16-year-old kid trying to come to grasp with, holy crap, I've got powers.
yeah.
Tony Stark, he's an alcoholic who's rich, and he basically creates a suit to save his life,
Yeah.
but ends up creating a
Yeah.
super suit.
Yeah.
But then
Funny.
we have Mark Spectre.
Yeah. It's,
It-
it's,
it-
let me.
I can't keep these
Yeah.
guys straight.
Yeah, it's funny enough. Actually, I kind of want to hammer on your point real quick on just like
Go
the
right ahead,
whole
sir.
thing of the difference between DC and Marvel. And it's weird now thinking about it, right? In the perspective of like it kind of hasn't really changed in the aspect. We're like the only thing that changes us as the reader and the viewer, right? I remember so many times looking at so many interviews about like just how DC and Marvel was back in the day, right? DC
Yeah.
was your parents' comics, right? They're the older, like, oh, this is the right thing to do, and you got to do this. Well, Marvel was a young kids type of stuff, like they told stories of young kids,
Yeah,
protective
you're
young
right.
children. While we're still on the same thing today. Granted, funny enough for now, it's not more so the inverse, but still kind of like the whole hammering of like, oh, social, like morals, like moral posturing and like what's right, what's to do. Like, dude, that was DC back in the 60s and stuff. That was DC's back in the 40s and the 50s and 60s of like something like, oh, this the morally right thing to do. While Marvel was the thing like, no, this is how we live through it. I think about like all the social woke issues of what Marvel has done, and look at Death of X-Men in the eyes of young kids, like, hey, maybe we're the bad guy. Or like Kamala Khan going, guys, are we the bad guys?
Yeah.
Right? Type of things like how they personalize it. But yeah, going back to the thing and how going back to that analogy of like, yeah, this in the 60s and 70s, Marvel personalized it by having the perspective go to like young kids. And it's kind of not more so flip like we see now in this weird perspective of Moon Knight, Mark Spectre, or Steve Grant, or whoever else we'll see going forward. That damn, this is just they're taking risk in a certain sense. It doesn't look like a risk now because we've seen everything as far as we can fucking see, because hey, it's the nature of the world and history. But at least with the Mark Spectre or in this aspect, like, okay, Marvel's taking a risk of having DID, right? Dissociative identity disorder. Who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
Type of stuff, right? And yeah, it's Moon Knight series right now might be hopefully pan out to be my favorite series of the bunch because
Yeah.
of just how distinctly different they're trying to be, and how very much so they're unabashedly proud of it, right?
Yeah.
They want to be different. They want to continue to like push on. I've seen the example of like people saying, oh, this is basically Venom. Oh, this is the Venom movie. Someone in his head talking like, bro,
I've
have you
heard that
not watched the
comparison. Yeah.
series? You haven't watched the series, and you're not really like people are saying, "Oh, I'm a Marvel fan. I should know this is Venom." Like, you have no fucking clue what Venom is. Then you like, no, homie, this is a different type of vibe, different kind of sense. Especially when like you have not just one or two, possibly more voices in head talking about DID. Uh, hopefully pushing and leaning into that aspect
Yeah.
of like, okay, cool, what's real, what's not real, because the biggest conclusion we saw specifically in this episode is like, things that Steve sees is not necessarily what other people see.
Yeah.
You see
That
that.
was a trip.
Yeah, just going back specifically in the beginning of the episode where Steve goes back to the museum and tells his friend like, "Oh, you're just gonna melt your brain, man. You're gonna see some stuff. It's gonna be crazy," and like ultimately nothing happens. Nothing happens. You just see your version of reality isn't the version of reality that other people see. That's the point they're hitting on. And it just for me like, dude, it's the layman type of thinking where like, people try to compare it to Venom because like, oh, he has a voice in his head too. No, motherfucker. This other guy is a symbiote. This guy, Steve Grant and Mark Spectre, are quite literally the same person. You just don't know you just don't know who actually owns the body.
Yeah.
And but the funny thing here is that supposedly, as we see, Conchi owns the body. But I digress, my friend. If you want to continue.
No, I want to piggyback on that on perfectly, because first off, I think in this day and age where mental illness is a huge hot button issue,
Yeah.
that they are. I've had some people say, "Well, they're making fun of it." No, they're not. They're bringing it to light that
Yeah.
this is the plight that people deal with. Imagine I woke up one morning and spoke in a completely different voice. Not, I use the term loosely, pretending to be somebody else.
Yeah.
Thinking that for the last 40 years, I was either dead or in a coma or something like that. And I began living the life as John Smith and just blah, 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 moving along with my life. That's what I like about this. Like, we know when when Kevin Feige presented this show, and we will always go back to this. Kevin Feige's comments at D23 was he introduces Moon Knight. Moon Knight is a guy named Marc Spectre who turns into the avatar of the Moon Knight, the Egyptian moon god Khonshu.
Yep.
to become this vigilante fighter, blah blah blah, or he could just be crazy and it could
Yep.
all be a figment of his imagination. That's still playing in the back of my head, and that's what I loved about this episode was he goes to back to the museum.
Yeah.
Presumably, he's fired. He's so toast, and he sees his friend JB, not JR, JB, and he goes again, going back to this is gonna melt your mind, friend. And he's like, and the guy, I love the line though. He's like, "What are you crying? Oh my god, you're a donut." I love that line. I don't know why. I love
Yeah.
that insult, but it's like he looks nuts because he's running from people. And now, of course, we learn later in the episode a little foreshadowing. We understand why he was
Yeah.
running from nothing, but and then and again going back to when he fall, of course we learned in episode 1 with the key and the cell phone. He finds out where the key goes, and he goes and he finds basically where Marc Spectre sleeps.
Yep.
And again, we don't know where Marc Spectre begins and Stephen Grant begins. It's so it's just my wife after the end of the last 2 episodes, she's like, I am so confused, but I
Yeah.
love it. So it's like,
Yeah.
well done, Marvel, well done, Disney. So, the what are your thoughts so far? 2 episodes through,
Yeah.
who is? I mean, we learned in this episode specifically. Marc Spectre says, "I am Marc Spectre. I am the avatar of the moon of Khonshu." Of course, then Stephen Grant, being a study of Egyptian history, says, "Oh, you're the Egyptian moon god. Are you freaking crazy?" Like he's like he thinks I'm insane. What the hell?
Yeah.
Where the body we see, the body, the physical embodiment played by Oscar Isaac.
Yeah.
Who do you think it actually is? Do you think it is Marc Spectre, or do you think it's Stephen Grant? Now, of course, we know in the comic books it's Marc Spectre, beginning,
Yeah.
end. The man came into this earth as Marc Spectre. He just has
Yeah.
this DID, what do they call it? I want to get it right. Dissociative identity disorder.
Yep.
Where do you think Disney's going? Is Disney going to swerve us, or are they going to stick to it?
I hope they swerve us, man, but I still do feel like it's gonna be very much a Marc Spectre type of deal.
Yeah.
Which, one second, I got my thing all messed up. Which I do feel, I hope they do kind of swerve. Maybe it's a third personality or the fourth personality that hopefully it might come to fruition in the series. But I already see hints and prods where it's definitely Mark's body. Like specifically the parts where Layla is the quote unquote estranged wife of Mark Spector,
Yeah.
where she comes back into where of course you see Steve call on that phone, on that flip phone that he finds right in the house. She comes back into his life after he has a freak out of Khonshu, and when he finds out, when he finds out Mark's his hidey hole, and that freak out of Khonshu, the living god the god embodiment, right, just walking around, and you just see that, small hits, and for me, small hints of like, you read this poet, like, and then you see Steve recite a poem in French, and she says it like, no, this is my favorite poet, type of things, right? Something already cognitively like, all right, cool. I've been in psychology, understand what's going on here. There's certain patterns of one's psyche is more so fresh into this personality because it's focused on this. And just small things, small little hints for me seal that, like, all right, cool. This Mark saw this book at some point in time in his past with Layla, and didn't really pay attention to it. But Steve, a identity within his brain, saw it, attached himself to it, and try to make his own identity from it. All these things is gonna like just kind of hopefully cascade into like showing a reveal. I'm hoping that it's not the case. I'm hoping that that these two motherfuckers aren't actually the true owners of the body. it's the third possible identity. Maybe someone else. Don't know. I'm hoping they do swerve us and go into the way of like Memento or um, another form of like unreliable narrator type of like fiction. Don't really know, man. Like let's say what's that one movie with where there's 7 identities in one body of a killer? What was that movie?
It wasn't 7, was it?
I don't remember, man, but it had John Cusack, right? It were like these 7 people, they all come in a hotel, but really that hotel was the mind of a homicidal killer, serial killer, and the actual killer
You
was
mean John Malkovich?
and the actual killer was a child in the mind. And so that kind of like unreliable narrator in that essence, man. So I'm hoping they kind of go like that route, where like it's someone we have yet to see, which I'm hoping it might
Now,
be.
you've got me thinking about
That's just
who
the movie.
that movie is. You said it was John Cusack.
Yeah, John Cusack, man. Man, I think who else was in that movie, man?
1408.
I don't know, man.
Was it
Possibly.
was it with Samuel L. Jackson?
Nope, it was not. I don't think Samuel Jackson was in the movie. John Cusack. Just try to Google. I forgot what it was, dude. But yeah, it was an older movie. An older movie. Yeah, that's where I feel like hopefully he's gonna go to, man. Where it's like where they'll keep us on our toes. What this series has been doing really great is doing that whole unreliable narrator or that weird, not weird, but like or that lapse of time, which is really great. It keeps Donis on his toes. And it's what I really do enjoy too is the glimpse of horror that's in this series is really really well done. It has yet to been done in a Marvel property, Marvel Studios property, done
Yeah.
correctly, right? And I'm hoping they continue. I hope they just lean into that, man. It was really good to see this type of like change of pace, where they're focusing more on like the thriller aspect of it. They're focusing more on like just like the whole like ambiguous settings where like we don't know what's going on, and the only person that truly knows what's going on is actually is right now a quote unquote side character in or a yeah, I guess you could say side character in Mark Spectre, which he knows all the cards, but he's not showing it, which is great. Is a great type of trope to have for this type of series, where you're as a viewer, you don't want to be given all the cards all right there, or the whole story before it plays out. And so I'm liking that. I'm really liking that, man. But yeah, I'm
Yeah.
hoping that
I don't.
it is a different thing. I'll
I
find it
can't.
for you. But go. What's your thoughts on it?
You know, again, it's a testament to Oscar Isaac's ability as an actor to really and truly play two separate characters on top of playing the superhero.
Yeah.
And I do like that we had a moment with. Oh, by the way, we get introduced along the lines. We get a little bit more about Ethan Hawke's character. What
Mm.
he is trying to do is to summon the Egyptian god Amet,
Yeah. On it. Yeah.
the alligator, the crocodile god, and he does have some form of his power, and that is what he uses to summon these jackals that only Mark Spector / Stephen Grant can see
At this point.
at this point. We do know that they're there. They're actual beings now. This is again the foreshadowing from earlier that Layla does inevitably quote unquote see them, but she has to break like a beer bottle or something over the head.
Mm.
Um, I do think it was kind of funny. Was we now know that Stephen Grant at some point does not have to give up control of the body
Yep.
to Mark Spector to be able to summon Khonshu. We see our first introduction into Mr. Knight. Of course, Mr. Knight was introduced in the 2017 run of Moon Knight.
I see something.
So
Yep.
that book is going to go through the roof.
Have that book.
And he summons the suit. He's looking at it and he's like, I summoned the suit like you asked me to. And it's like, no, asshole.
Yeah.
you're supposed to give it over to Mike Spectre, and he's going to get the badass suit, which he doesn't inevitably do. So I think it's kind of cool that I think we kind of hinted at this. I think you called it was that Mark Spector is going to call on the Moon Knight, what you see behind us if you're watching the video, the main suit from the comics, and that Stephen Grant was going to play Mr. Knight, and it does seem that the that Mr. Knight is more so a spin-off of Stephen Knight as opposed to where Moon Knight is almost a third character. And it
Yeah.
said even in the Moon Knight Wikipedia that it's Mark Spector, Stephen Grant, the cabbie guy, and then
Yeah.
Moon Knight. So that they're all different identities.
Identities.
They're not just Mark Spector happens to play Moon Knight. No,
Yeah.
it's almost a fourth identity, and I like
Yep.
that. So far, what we have seen is that once the suit goes on, it's a third body, whereas Mr. Knight was more of Steven in the suit. So, and I did say there was moments. I don't know if you noticed it, JR, with Moon Knight when he was being chased by the Jackal. There was still some trepidation. There was still some fear in Moon Knight. So it kind of hints to the fact that maybe there's a little bit of Stephen Grant in Mark Spector,
Possibly.
or is Moon Knight a completely different character,
Hmm.
being played by Oscar Isaac? I know.
Yeah.
I love to hate the show because there's so many characters
Yeah.
surrounded by one guy. You know,
Yeah. It was an interesting take on how they did Mr. Knight, right?
is that not how
Where
he's portrayed? I don't have that book. Is that how he's portrayed in the book?
it's interesting. I'll just say that specifically because the Steve Grant angle on it, right? Where I can see why they did it and why they tried to make this certain set of imagery or this type of like metaphor where it's Stephen Grant because there's the economy in this, right, is that you have two identities, right, with their own distinctive style, their own distinctive personalities, and that how they view how to deal and cope with physical trauma and to a certain extent, right? Or in this case, just danger, right? Well, you see in the first episode, Steven had to trust in Mark, right, in saving their lives, right? And
Yeah,
then you see Steven's change into Moon Knight. You see Steven here trying to take in his own power to save himself, and he dresses, and you see that it magnifies or it corporalizes in him having his own suit, which is cool. It's a great thing to see. These two have their own types of power or on their own identities put into the suits. It's just like, cool. This is how they're gonna play Mr. Knight. I hope what I do hope though is that if they show Khonshu seeing this form, they show Khonshu in this fucking suit because that's one of the awesome things I've seen in my reading of Moon Knight, the 2016 run going on to I think 2018, 2019, is that you see Steven, oh no, you see Mark, right, in the comics look up to Khonshu, and Khonshu is in a suit, but he still has a bird head out. That was one of the most like fucking like, oh shit, this is fucking cool type of like moments for me. I hope they show that. I really do hope they show Khonshu in a suit. I was, and it was it's kind of to kind of backtrack a little bit too, to the point where you have I forgot his name, man, Ethan Hawke's character's name, where
Arthur Harrow.
yeah, Arthur. There you go, yeah, Arthur Harrow. Where he shows him throughout the where they shows him throughout that little neighborhood thing, right? Where everyone is, it's it's a safe zone type of thing where people grow their own plants and food and everything. It's a community type of thing, right? Very much into that. Oh, like, oh, we're a
Yeah,
commune slash cult type of thing, and like, oh, this is the thing that that Ahmed has for everybody, that we root out all the evils, right? One thing I thought too was the one when they're having the food, when they're eating about to eat food, and when when Arthur tells him like, "Oh, where's my scarab, whatever," right?
Yeah,
And through the plate you have Steven say like, "Oh no," you have Mark say, "Hey, don't give up, Layla, don't give Layla." For a brief second, dude, I thought it was a different. I thought it was like a different character because I in the last part, right? He goes, "Don't give
good
her up."
point.
I thought I heard a New York accent. I thought we were getting the New York cabbie driver.
The caveat, which is,
Yeah,
I just had it here in front of me. I want to make sure we get it. And I have a feeling that at some point
yeah. I'm
we are
hoping we
going to
do.
get that would be Jake Lockley.
Yeah. Because like if you run it back and go to that particular scene, the when he says "Don't give up Layla" or whatever the last line he said when he was, his reflection was on that the bowl. I swore I heard a New York accent, specifically an Italian New York accent. I was like, oh snap, yeah, this is him, right? So I'm thinking, it was brief and it was very subtle, but I thought that was it. It wasn't inevitably. It was Mark the whole time, but man, like I wonder if like this is certain crack. I want to kind of fast forward
Go right.
a little bit until after he after Mark takes out the jackal and he goes back to himself and that that finally that like he has a human moment where he's not where we see that Mark isn't fully in control, where he isn't that stoic, strong figure that was portrayed in the first episode, and a little bit in this episode too, where he's very patient and understanding all that stuff, right? And like, no, I can very confident in himself, right? And he has this back and forth with himself basically, and he just kicks in the mirror. I love that moment.
Yeah,
I
because
fucking love that moment.
it showed Mark losing
Yeah,
control.
Yeah, which is a great thing to see. I understand that he's working with time and he's understanding that it's a race against time, this aspect, and that everything's kind of closing on him. And it's just, dude, I just can't fucking believe we got Oscar fucking Isaac to play a pivotal role right now, dude. Oscar Isaac is fucking amazing. I fucking love it, dude.
Absolutely
He's great.
fantastic.
That's another ballpark hit, dude. Like no bar, that's another home run, dude. At the fucking
Absolutely.
ballpark, bro. And so just having that small stuff of that, where you see Mark just kicking in this window or this glass mirror, of him reflection of himself, and like just like the imagery I got of that, not imagery, but like the metaphor I got off of that, man. Like, oh wow, that's freaking okay, cool. I see what you're playing with now. You're trying to do this whole two things. Also, just real quick,
Yep.
before I lose this thought, John Cusack movie Identity, 2003.
Okay.
Okay.
I scrolled right past it and I didn't even think about it.
Yeah, Identity. But
By the
yeah,
way, F. Murray Abraham playing Khonshu, aka the what do you call it? The invisible narrator. What do you call it? The
I guess no, yeah, invisible narrator. I guess I'm saying unreliable narrator
unreliable narrator.
is a different perspective because like unreliable narrator would be like Joker
Okay,
2018, yeah, where he's
but
not really, yeah, he's not really telling the whole truth type stuff.
gotcha. I do like that. And I think we finally got a kind of an explanation that, and it really kind of goes back to get religious for you for a moment.
Hmm.
Is you talk about the Holy Trinity, the real life Holy Trinity,
Hmm.
um, being the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. That Jesus was the physical embodiment of God, of
Hmm.
the Christian God on earth,
Hmm.
because a physical embodiment of a matter version of God is
Hmm.
inimaginable. It's not
Yep.
possible. I'm wondering if they are playing that with a similar situation with Khonshu, because they really hint that Khonshu is a completely separate character,
Yep.
but at the same time, they say that he is an avatar for Khonshu. In the comics, he's possessed by this spirit, so it's kind of like almost like
Yeah.
going back to Ghostbusters, the original Ghostbusters, where Zool takes over the a couple of characters. He goes, "No, there is no Dana. There's only Zool." Um, so I don't know. It kind of is a unique because, like you said, it's a bit of both. you have
Yeah.
Khonshu, who is its own separate character,
Yeah.
but at the same time, nobody else can hear him. Nobody else can comprehend his being except
Mhm.
for Mark Spectre, and he says, I am an avatar, which is kind of like saying that he's the physical
Eh,
embodiment
Yeah.
of.
Mark Spector and Arthur. Remember, because Harlow, right? Because remember, it was also in the episode too where Harlow said that
Harlow.
yeah, where he was once the avatar for Khonshu as well, and he was able to hear him before too. Remember that?
Oh, okay. And I
Yeah.
do say that was interesting. And you talk about the unreliable narrator, but this is actually more Arthur to talk about how um,
Hmm.
he just blows off Khonshu. Oh, because like there's a windstorm, and he goes, "Oh, that's yeah, that's him," but that's all he can do. And then
Yeah.
something gets knocked over. Oh, that's him just throwing a temper tantrum.
Yep.
So I'm wondering too, is Khonshu, though he can be only seen by Stephen Grant slash Mark Spector,
Hmm.
I'm wondering if he actually does still exist and he's just invisible like the jackals are.
Yeah.
But
Abs-
I have a feeling that a lot of questions are going to get answered next week because at the end of the episode, by the way, no Easter eggs. I did watch through the credit. No
mhm.
in credit scenes. Much, which has become kind of a tradition. I think the last two shows didn't. I mean, I know technically Hawkeye had one, but it was basically the long version of the Captain America musical, which
Yeah.
left people like, really? And then Loki, I think, was just the stamp saying that season two was coming. Um, we see at the very end of the episode, we see what we presume to be Mark Grant
Oh, Mark
awakening.
Spector.
I'm sorry, Mark Grant's a freaking baseball announcer. Mark Spector awakening in the Egyptian desert outside of the Great Pyramids of Giza.
Yep.
And I think we're going to either probably get a backstory, hopefully.
Yeah.
Maybe that will help those who are having a hard time tracking this show, that aren't hardcore comic book nerds like you and I, or those even watching, to kind of follow the show a little bit better.
Yeah.
Are you following? Are you able to kind of check out of this show for a moment and kind of watch it from a novice standpoint and go like, "Holy crap, dude, this would be kind of hard to follow," or are you going like, "No, this is
Uh, yeah. I mean, I in the moment I don't type of thing. Or like in the moment I would. It's easy to see where these threads lie. I understand where they're throwing out certain threads. It's easy for to catch, personally, right? Because just like yeah, analytically I understand where everything's going through, and that and like just the amount of freaking movies, books, TV shows, all that stuff I've accumulated in my fucking life. Yeah, it's easy stuff. It's easy to see. It's easy to catch. But yeah, I could definitely get from a person who just watch the shows or watch the movies can look at this like, oh man, it's hard to follow, right? Like for those who don't know, I've fucking read and watched the first I think it was the first Witcher series, right? And that one, if anyone who's watched the first Witcher series, season one, that's a hard thing to fucking follow.
yeah,
I caught most of it. I when you're doing it right, I understood most of it, or actually I understood all of it because I read the books now too, and like it's easy to freaking follow in that sense.
yeah,
This series here, there is things to kind of like backtrack to go from point to point, but honestly, when you do like just take the series for what it is and just try to go along for the ride, man, it's a good time. It's a really good time, and it's different. It sucks. It's Marvel's own fault for doing it if it's hard
yeah,
to follow because of how much they have placed every single one of their series. Each
mhm,
their series is easy to follow, right? Before this one, now they're doing something a little different. They're doing something a little bit more psychological, a little thriller esque, more so of like having unreliable narrators. Weird. They're graying the lines of good and evil again, and like how they say like, oh, yeah, because I want to harken back to like what Harlow, I forgot his name again. I forgot. But yeah, Ethan Hawke's character, where he wants
Um,
to
Arthur Harrow.
Arthur, where Arthur wants to go and like, oh, you know, why do we have to stop evil after they're done doing evil? Just stop at its root, right?
Yeah,
And they're having that whole. I think for me, honestly, that was like probably not a low point, but like the if I had a negative, that was a negative. It was very much a tried and true trope of like
yeah,
saying that we should stop evil before it even happens, and how Steven so it's like, oh, cool. So it's cool for you to kill kids then before they've done anything, right? Like that's kind of where I stopped the line at baby killing. All right, cool. And so they still, but then people are gonna go like, oh, but you wouldn't stop Hitler. Like, okay, you want to kill kid Hitler though, right? You want to kill him when he was a kid? Yeah, it's like where do we draw the line type of stuff, right? And so I think I understood where they're doing with that one. Yeah, it's more so Marvel's fault. My
yeah,
point is, it's more so Marvel's fault because like they give us these easy to follow shows, then they give us this.
yeah.
You know, it's kind of that.
Uh, and I am enjoying it. I like that it's different. By the way, if you have an opportunity to give us a little cheap plug for other podcasts or other shows out there, I think Dan Casey and the people over at Nerdist do a great job at really kind of um, breaking down
Mhm.
the background on these characters. But there was an interview, and I don't know who the guy did. There was an interview done um, by Nerdist when they interviewed the director of this series, and it was a great interview. I highly recommend it. Maybe I'll try to copy and paste the video to our Facebook page. But I want to go back to you and I talked about this, Jr. With I believe was it Loki, where we kept talking about the entire series. This I think it was a woman that directed Loki, correct?
Oh, I think you're talking about I think you're talking about
Or was it
uh
Falcon the Winter Soldier?
Falcon
Okay.
Winter Soldier.
Well, we kept talking that the director for that series, give this person more work, give him more work, give him more work. They were hitting a home run. The guy who is doing Moon Knight so far, to me, give this man more work. And it sounds like that's what they're going to do. That there's the possibility. They have said that Moon Knight is being considered a limited series, which means there is right now there's no season two. There is
Yeah,
gonna. But what they could do, much like Moon Knight comic books, is there could be not a season two, but a volume two. There could be another series, and they tell you they could do Moon Knight and the blah 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 blah. They could be like a whole new show, so to speak,
yeah,
featuring Moon Knight. And I don't think with a character as highly anticipated um, and really hotly followed by Marvel purists, they're not going to just do a one off and be like, we're done with him.
mhm,
There's your Moon Knight. There's your Mark Spectre. He just kind of exists in the background. This character is going to be around in the Marvel Cinematic Universe,
yeah.
and the director does talk about that. Now, the director of the show, and let me get his name,
Mohammed Mohammed
Mohammed
Diab.
Diab.
Yeah,
I believe he is a part of the crew
yeah.
that is also producing the Nova show or
I
the
think
the
so
Nova
too.
project, which could either
Yeah,
be a movie or a show.
yeah.
I
I
think it's going
will
to be a
I will say this too. Granted, Mohammed he is the main director. He didn't actually directed episode 2, and he won't direct episode 4. Everything else though from the six series,
Oh, you are right.
I
Yeah.
think yeah, the episode 2 and episode 4 is going to be directed by an Aaron Moorhead and Justin Benson, right? But honestly, from this standpoint, it's good. Uh, like they can again, Marvel can just call on these guys, these people, these individuals, and have them do another whatever, man.
Yeah.
Go from what is going. Like, hopefully, they continue this type of like momentum going into episode 3, 4, 5, 6. Hopefully, have a better finale than most of the things we've
Yeah,
gone
they've
through with the
had trouble
series.
sticking the landing.
Yeah,
Yes.
it feels like the finale stop at before the actual finale, for the most part. But it just hopefully from this point they just continue to progress better, show more of the actual character. I do know that sadly One of the actors, right, who passed away during after the filming of Moon
Yes.
Knight, he's going to be his character is going to be playing soon, possibly in episode 3. Uh, Gaspard, I think that's his name. I forget. Let me
Yeah,
see. Let
something
me
like that.
Yeah, they haven't necessarily given. They're not gonna come out and say where exactly he's gonna be in it. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be in the later episodes, in the next episode per se. But yeah, we'll be see his character coming in real soon, and
Yeah.
hopefully too. Yeah, Gaspard Ulil. There you go. That's the name, Gaspard Ulil. Hopefully, yeah, he just knocks out of the park as well, man. So again, it's a really well done show. I'm super happy about episode 2. I will say, for me, and it's more so shows my love for the show because of how much not much, but like I have a disdain towards Steven.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's like I get it. He's the uh, it's gonna sound I'm sounding very fucking chauvinistic saying this, man, but like, dude, he's this character trope that I've seen for way too damn long watching anime. This weak, timid, oh, I don't know what to do, freaking, then he dies and gets transported to another world character and becomes super powerful, but still weak and timid, right? I fucking hate this trope. I hate this fucking trope. It for me, it's the same fucking but for some weird reason, Steven is like the love and ardor of all of specifically girls on the internet, how they
Yeah.
love this guy and want to protect him. It's the same fucking. He's basically the male version of the princess that needs to be saved. He is, dude. He is, man. Like, no, fucking save yourself. Granted, yes, he did save himself in this episode where he dons his own suit per
Yeah.
se and tries to do it. But granted, he needs a tag in from someone who actually understands, who knows how to throw a punch correctly in Mark. But yeah, dude, I was like, oh, this is the trope I hate. Like when I see Steven, right? Oh, this is the trope I hate. It really is. It really was hammered in the second episode where like it's like, bro, dude, you gotta. And this is gonna sound very fucking like fucking toxic male of me, but like, bro, you gotta fucking just man up. Truly. Like you're in a horrid situation. You obviously you're out of your fucking comfort zone. The best thing you're gonna do is go to somebody and show them all this money, and think you're not gonna get killed, bro. Come on, man. But yeah, granted, that's what they wanted. That's what the directors in the show wanted me to feel
Yeah.
as a viewer. So
Real quick, give a little plug. Of course, one of the places you can stream our show every single Wednesday, and of course this Saturday when we bring the main series back, we get a little bit more in depth into the pop culture nature of the world. You can stream it on
fuck
Twitch.
you, Will Smith. Maybe that's the
We
reason
might
why I
have to
don't
get
like
into
it.
that.
Yeah,
We could follow us on Twitch, and of course, a lot of stuff coming to Twitch very soon. I know that we're going to try to get JR's PS5 hooked up to stream.
Been trying.
Once he stops buying comics and starts buying computer stuff, and office chairs and stuff like that. I'm just kidding.
Bro, like I got a nasty lean. I know you. For those who don't see it, I see his pregame. You were messing with your chair too. I saw that.
Yeah, my kids messed with my chair, and one of the screws came out, so I had to get an Allen wrench out and read it. For those who don't know, too, I kept leaning. I have a tendency to lean in my show because I can't put the armrest down and get too close. There's upgrades coming to my undisclosed Shield location office here, and this. Oh, man,
I feel like I'm gonna need a chair more so sooner than later too, man. Because like it's really bad for my posture, man. This chair right here.
Yeah, and this one is too. My wife's complaining about it. We were looking at office chairs at Sam's Club over the weekend. Real quick, you could stream us on twitch.tv, and I'm going to do this little comment from our Twitch channel today, of course. Question of the day: do you think Jake Lockley will appear in the series? That's our question of the day. Give us a comment wherever you are watching, whether it be on Twitch, on YouTube, on Facebook. I will post the question also if you are going to follow us or if you're going to listen to us on Spotify. I will put that there as well. And of course, if you're listening to us, you can also, by the way, this is new and kind of cool,
Yeah.
is the audio version of our show also loads on Facebook. So that's kind of
Nice.
cool. You can now, if you want to, if you're at your computer, wherever you may be, you can actually listen to the show on Facebook. You can go to the podcast section of the PS Comics I Love You Facebook page, and you can find that there. So, yeah, a lot of cool technology. Of course, you can follow us on Apple. We're still, I know Jay and I kind of talked about this before when Apple announced their big changes to their podcast thing, but we don't want to have to put anything behind a paywall.
Yeah.
So I have had people message us through the Apple podcast app and ask if we were going to do that and add any new content. No, because I don't want you guys to have to pay for it.
Oh man.
Maybe when we get really popular, we'll do a Patreon or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
anything
will.
else?
Let me just kind of drum up some little excitement, man, for our Saturday showcasing, man. I'm gonna show you just one of the things I bought from WonderCon. A great time, man. Big shout outs to a lot of the vendors there. Shout out to Stranger Comics. Shout out to Alpin Comics. Shout out to a bunch of people, man, out there. It was freaking great to see them again. Happy talking to them, and like they're doing great. I forgot the name of the vendor that I bought this from, man, but I already had this specific comic. It came back. CGC'd it. It came back as a grade that hurt my heart. I'm pretty sure I showed you guys, so I had to rebuy it, and I bought
Ironheart,
Ironheart
issue
number
number
one,
one.
Stephanie Hahn's variant, man. A very rare cover. Really rare. I think it's a 1 for 50 cover, man. And yeah, this is the one of the things that I bought. I'm not gonna say how much I bought it for, but I will say, man, I'm happy to have this back in my possession. I'm gonna get it pressed, cleaned, and maybe wait another 2 years till my CGC comes back when I do send it in. But yeah, man.
Well,
Fun.
we are ever so closer to my CGC of Amazing Spider-Man number 129 coming back. We got some good news. A friend of ours, who had given up hope that his Star Wars number one
Oh yeah.
was never going to be seen again, did hit the asylum about 3 weeks ago. I know that he sent his about a month or so before I sent mine. I sent mine in June of 2020. And I honestly don't anticipate seeing my book probably until the summertime. If it happens before, cool. But I really don't anticipate seeing my book until the summertime. But I think we're closer. It's going to happen this year.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to seeing the grade that I get, because that book continues to go up and up as more
Oh,
news
it's
comes
insane.
out that there's a possibility that the Punisher will be coming back to the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Not only that, there are some rumors, some news going on too that a lot of the old Daredevil / Netflix Marvel cast coming back too, from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, and I think that's why Marvel. Now, I will point this out too, that the quote Defenders saga that they gave the Netflix shows has magically disappeared, amongst other things, which we'll talk about on Saturday. But that leads me to believe that I think that they can't hide the fact that both Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio have basically validated that their versions of Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk, respectfully,
Yeah.
are Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk from the Daredevil show. Not a variant. That those are
Yeah.
the ones.
Yeah.
And there is talk too that with the whole multiverse opening up, that supposedly they are not against Frank Castle, the version played by John Bernthal. Either could be, they're saying that he could be a variant, or that he is the main one, that but then they might have a variant. I don't know. That they may even, that we may actually get, with the whole multiverse, we might actually get a reference to Thomas Jane.
Yep.
That it's like,
That'd
you know
be
what, I'm
crazy.
telling you right now, It's like comic books, guys. Go out there and grab all those old Blu-rays and DVDs you see. If it says Marvel on it, grab it because it might become
Yeah.
a collector's edition.
I'm
Because
yeah, man. Dude, we will know all the news that will be coming after Multiverse of Madness coming
oh,
out,
dude,
man.
I just
I'm
got pumped
telling you,
up now.
bro. I'm telling you, man. It's just I heard the news when I heard them say too, like, oh, they had to like delist some stuff from like from No Way Home for Charlie Cox, and like they had to do that. Like, oh, I understand why.
Yeah, they had to
You know,
cut a lot out.
I understand why you had to do this stuff. I do that. Be like, you can't just like you have to roll out the welcome mat properly per
Yeah,
se.
it,
Granted, it's awesome welcome mat to have for Spider-Man for Charlie Cox, but like, come on now.
it's also said that the worst kept secret in the world is that both Vincent D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox are returning for Echo,
Obviously,
and that we could see Charlie Cox in She-Hulk.
of course.
So,
Just,
but that's
just,
stuff that we could talk
just
about.
gets pay the fucking man, pay both of them, and let them just take over whatever the hell you need to continually run your 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 streaming your show streams. Like honestly, just do it. Just pay them what the hell you want.
Yeah,
Let them
it's
do
only
it.
all it's going to do is draw attention to the
Yeah.
platform.
Also, one last thing that we definitely forgot. I can't believe they put it in there. This fucking show. They said shit. Remember? Where Steve looks at after he got sued on, he goes like, I don't know this shit.
He
I'm like,
does. He
he said it.
does.
I'm like, oh,
So,
whoa, okay then, cool.
it should be pointed out too that this show, along with all of the other Disney Plus Marvel Studios shows, have been a PG-13. It
Hmm.
was announced earlier this week, and we will talk about this again as we get closer to its June 6th debut, that Miss Marvel will not be PG-13. It will be
PG.
PG. They're really trying to keep that as a
Yep.
family-friendly show.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Um,
it's a
and
it's
again,
a
that's
middle school kid. Yeah.
yeah, and it goes along too with what we are talking about at the beginning of this episode, that they are doing a great job at each show has a different trope, that it's a different type of show. All right, guys, thank you again. Once again, I am Kevin Pillow at Voice of Reason 23 on all social media platforms except for TikTok. We'll talk about that later. He is Jared Kamakungan, also not Jared Comics 42 on Instagram. We will get a link to his eBay account on our link tree, maybe our PS Comics I Love You link tree.
That's what I
And
was
if you
on there.
guys, what's up?
I thought I put it on there, but no, I
Oh,
guess
but
not.
we'll get it on there to give you guys an opportunity to bid on some of JR stuff, because we got to get our homeboy to his buddy's wedding. Um, I'm very
Cool.
shocked that you went to WonderCon afterwards, but so we figured we
Yeah,
could.
but believe me, it was. I'll let that story be
We'll
known.
talk about that. We got the whole WonderCon Sunday. We'll talk about on Saturday, and of course, I'll talk about the possibility of me having a little toe deeper into the pool that is San Diego Comic Con. We'll talk about that and more. Again, thanks guys for staying up with us. Join us
Yep.
next Wednesday for episode 3 of Moon Knight, and of course, join us this Saturday. Date to yet to be announced, but if you follow our Facebook pages, we will have a calendar update for you to let you know when we will go live. And again, we will live. We'll live broadcast. Plus, it also will be available in the archives.
Yep.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night. We will see you on Saturday. We'll see you next Wednesday. Peace.
Peace.
In broadcast.